Hey cannabis traders and investors, checking in on the sector. Tons of activity out there today. We're also going to look at the psychedelic space, checking in on things, going to start doing a bit more regular coverage as the volume, volatility, and opportunity returns. So before we get into the technical analysis, just want to give a little bit of insight into myself and my bias and where I stand, just so you all have a better idea as I give this analysis, because sometimes two different individuals will hear something that I say and they'll have completely two different takeaways from what it is. So I just want you to know where I am at. I have been trading cannabis for 11 years at this point, and personally, I am first and foremost a day trader. I do establish swing positions, but again, day trading is my bread and butter. And my mindset with how I play this game, which differs very significantly from investors and from longer term traders, is give me my money, see you next trade. And I'm constantly locking in profit and constantly in these short-term moves, whether I'm holding for a day or two or an hour or two. And that sometimes makes me miss out on the bull moves that are euphoric on the way up, but I'm also never holding any bags and I'm never in big red positions. And I learned those lessons long ago to just cut my losers. So that is how I play this game. And it's been working really well for me over the last 11 years. And this is something that I do full time. So I have been watching these names trade every single trading day. We'll call it 98% of every single trading day for the last 5 years is what I have put into this sector. And it's not always first and foremost. I'm trading other things, but I'm keeping an eye on this sector for that period of time. I have no allegiance to any company or to any side of the border. I don't care if you're Canadian or US. I don't care who has a better balance sheet, Green Thumb or Trulieve. That means absolutely nothing to me. I'm aware of the fundamentals and it does play an impact. I'm aware of the seasonality of the voting season, of the importance of these things, but it does not impact how I play this game. So that is where I'm coming from, and I'm always looking to lock in my profit, and my goal is for my account to be more valuable today than it was yesterday. And that's my goal every single day. And I have profit targets that I try and hit every week, every year, etc. But that's where I stand. So I know that there's better day trading opportunity in the Canadian names because they have more volume and they're higher listed. I know the USMJ names have better balance sheets and fundamentals. And I know there's opportunity there. For example, Trulieve, when we get Florida legalizing recreational cannabis, their target market is going to multiply by hundreds of percent overnight. So I'm aware of that fundamental aspect of things, but that's where I stand. So today was a tale of 2 days, and really it was a brutal rug pull at the end of the day for USMJ. And we'll go into a little bit more of that in depth. But essentially the way my observations the last 2 days, USMJ, big bull move. Well, we'll start from scratch. CGC bearish earnings Friday, dropping everything in Canadian MJ. Everything going down, USMJ climbing up. So inverse relationship between those two. And then the end of the day, the article hits and we get a surge, a little bounce in Canadian MJ, but a surge and a mini short squeeze in USMJ. That follows through into today with a gap up open and follow through with more buying. Then we see laggard action in Canadian MJ. KRON has a rumor that they're going to be bought out fully by MO. I speak in ticker talk, not company names. So KRON, rumored to be bought out by MO, huge move. It was a falling wedge that broke bullish. We'll look at that. And we're up 26% today and up a little bit after hours. So once that happened, all the laggard moves started happening in the Canadian MJ. I was looking at CGC up 3%, KRON's up almost double digit, and then we start to catch up. So CGC climbs all day, TLRY, ACB, we're climbing all day as a laggard to the KRON big bull move. And KRON was a laggard to a certain degree to the USMJ move, but again, specific for that little rumor as to why KRON was the lead bull today and the lead bull that we're going to be watching all week. We were set to close really strong today, and Canadian MJ closed strong. There was no red flags in the Canadian MJ close, but USMJ had a rug pull. What do I mean by a rug pull? I mean in the last 30 minutes. If you asked me at 3:30 p.m. today, what are the odds of a gap up open again tomorrow? I would say 80%. And if you ask me at 3:59, I would say 2%. That's a huge shift. What in the world happened? A massive bear raid. So in my opinion, this isn't profit taking. There's definitely profit taking mixed in there. For example, I was planning on swinging a pretty solid MSOS position, but as soon as that dump started, cut out a lot of it to ensure, again, I was playing aggressive. Short-term mindset. Okay, if we close strong, I'm looking for a gap up open, larger positions. I'll sell that gap up open tomorrow, lock in that profit. But as soon as we start dropping, again, the probability of a gap up open significantly drops. And so some of it was profit taking and bailing, but the way that it happened at that speed, if you're looking to take profit, you have all day to do it. And you take profit with small position sizes and you put it on the ask and you wait till it gets nibbled and then you put some more on the ask. And if I'm looking to sell 100,000 shares, I do that in groups of 5,000 shares. Just put 5,000 on the ask, wait for it to be bought, do it again. Rather than smashing the bid. The way that the end of the day moved here, it was almost like someone wanted the prices as low as possible into the close. And we know we're thinly traded on these USMJ names. This dump on GTBIF, Green Thumb, in the last 30 minutes, we dropped over 8%. And the dollar volume, looking at both the Canadian and the USMJ side of things, we're talking like $5 million. Dropped everything 8% in 30 minutes. So again, it's just massive selling into the bid for that to happen. And it spoiled the day because these daily candles are now very gross for the bulls and leaning towards daily consolidation. When again, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we were set for closes up at the high of the day. And here's GTBIF testing the high of the day, ready to close strong, and then just falling apart. So I'm calling it a bear raid. You can call it whatever you want it to be. But we know a bigger picture from the video over the weekend. What do we need for this move to be for real? We need a daily trend change. And anybody that I know that is asking me about entries, I'm saying wait for daily consolidation and look for an entry then. So we have our low, our high of the breakout, and now if we see a break of the low of today tomorrow, 29.72, daily consolidation begins, and we scout a higher low. The more we pull back, this is retracement size. If you're using TradingView, you hit Alt-F. You go to the low, you go to the high. Healthy retracements are 382 or less to favor continuation. That's my guide for bull flags. Anything that's more than that, we look for an equilibrium being a tightening daily range. So if we pull back and hold the 382, we're going to be looking good for a daily trend change attempt. If this pullback, and these are in percentages, Fibonacci ratio, but if this pullback gives back 50% plus of this move, we're still going to look for a higher low, but then we look for the lower high and then just a tightening range. And that can play out for a couple of weeks. We know we have earnings in play. Curaleaf just reported their earnings, so that's going to have some impact. But once daily consolidation begins, which may be tomorrow, we have to see confirmed daily trend changes. One other thing to keep in mind, the broader market has been going straight up for 2 weeks in a row. We have not seen daily consolidation in SPY or IWM, and I watch IWM for this sector because IWM is growth and smaller cap names, and we haven't seen daily consolidation there in 8 to 10 days. So I know broader market consolidation is due, and I know that that's going to put a little downward pressure on this sector as well. Yes, the sector can ignore it when there's ample volume to do so, but if we climax top like it looks like we just did, and then the broader market starts to consolidate, that's going to help the sector consolidate as well. The gap to fill back to the downside here is 28.69. And if we drop back down to fill that gap, that's going to shape up an equilibrium. We'll expect a higher low, then a lower high, and a continued tightening range. You need to determine the time frame that you care about on this sector. Because if you are a long-term trader, you don't care about the hourly chart. You don't care about the short-term time frames. You shouldn't be checking every day. I know that's really hard to not do, but if you wanted to do your mental stability a favor, you wouldn't. I'm watching every day because every little move, I'm looking for an opportunity. So, low of today, if it breaks tomorrow, daily consolidation underway. I'll be scouting hourly oversold conditions, which are still not close to happening, but if they do shape up, that would be a great entry for a daily higher low, in my opinion, as far as low risk or reward. And we're going to look to trade, again, if we break the low today, we're going to look to trade within this range for a while, pending any new surprise news. GTBIF, so big upper wick, significant amount of profit taking. Again, we saw a huge 2-day move. 30% in 2 days is nothing to sneeze at, but if we break the low of today tomorrow, up 21.30, We are then going to look for a daily higher low to form, and the bulls then must break the high of 24.47 if this move is going to have follow through. Worst case scenario, let's go over everything. Worst case scenario for the bulls, we just rejected from weekly EMA 12 resistance, which is an EMA I use on all time frames, and it's just a weekly lower high. And I don't expect to break our recent lows anytime soon, but it could just be a slow bleed move. Again, if we don't change the daily trend, just like the weekend video where I showed the ACB short squeezes that lack follow through and give it all back over the next month, that's a possibility. GTBIF weekly, just looking for a lower high at this point. So the big question over the next week, can bulls confirm daily trend changes? And if not, we're just going to trade sideways within this range, chopping around a good bit for potentially a good bit of November. Curaleaf, same deal. Earnings reaction, nothing in terms of extended hours trading, so can't gauge how the market is reacting right now. I know MSOS was seeing continued downward pressure in after hours. Bulls just got a little bit of breathing room, but even after that little bear raid, knocked the price down even further after hours. But can't get a good sense as to how the market's going to react to Curaleaf earnings right now. If the lows, so again, the lows of today, tomorrow, are the key level. And if it breaks, top of the move is set, daily consolidation underway, and we then have to set daily higher lows compared to where we came from. TCNNF, weekly trend change confirmed, but again, ugly candle. Fidelity is painting, well, mixed bag here. Always see how they word things. So TCNNF, big time bull move. If the low of today breaks, we scout a daily higher low, very wide range we can trade within for a good bit of time. And CRLBF held its gains, so that's notable compared it to peers. It also is the only name with a daily trend change, higher low and higher high, and did not see the end of the day sell off. It did, but nice last 5 minutes to save it. And we held this support here. Every other individual name broke their midday support. So just a little note that CRLBF is holding on a bit better, short term, 974 key resistance there, and not nearly as convincing that our top of this move has been set yet. We held hourly support, where everybody else confirmed an hourly downtrend with an inability to break the high of the day and then a lower low. So a sour end to a great start to the day originally. So the positions that I have right now, I have longer term mindset, little bit of TCNNF, little bit of GTBIF, and my GTBIF comes from playing the oversold bounce back here. I was talking about that in the broader market videos last week. And a little bit of core MSOS. But again, what I do is I go aggressive. So on the gap up open this morning, I sold some of my more aggressive MSOS position that I entered at the end of the day Friday. Why? Because I don't want to gap up and then lead to hourly consolidation. As soon as I see the bulls holding strong, I buy back in higher. I have no problem buying back stocks higher than I sold them if I get information that gives me more confidence. So we then saw a bull move up and I exited more and added more after the end of the day. Okay, we set an hourly higher low. Big bull move here. Let's try and close strong. So I was adding into the end of the day and then again exiting on that weakness into the close. So I'm always looking to increase position sizes when going aggressive and decrease them when I'm going more conservative. And today's end of day action in the USMJ space definitely shifted me from aggressive to conservative. Whereas I'm still in a KRON swing position and it's over the high of the day today right now after hours, and I'm still aggressive there in KRON because it's still performing well. So that's, again, just want to give little insights as to how I trade these spaces, just so you know where I'm coming from when I give this analysis. So KRON, this is a daily falling wedge. A falling wedge is a pattern that just starts to lack bear follow through with every fresh break. It's complete bear control, but the bears get tired essentially. And this was just the right recipe for a tightening range and some catalyst in the USMJ space, big gains over there, and then the rumor of the potential buyout leading to a massive short squeeze. I mean, we got to a move today where if you are short Friday, you are very comfortable. We are at the lowest prices seen in months. And after today, anybody that is short this name in the last almost 2 months, more than 2 months, is now underwater very quickly. So that puts a lot of pressure on shorts. And that's when I'm looking, is this a short squeeze? That's how I gauge it. How many months, how many weeks of shorts are now underwater, and how quickly did it happen? And this was a short squeeze today, but it's not your standard explosion. You see your AMC and GME short squeezes that are just massive rocket ships to the upside. This is a perpetual short squeeze where if you're a short, whether you're already in a position or you're freshly entering today, you don't have a chance to breathe at any point today. It's just higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. The entire day, just sustained pressure. I'll call it a perpetual short squeeze rather than a rocket ship, but just constant pressure on shorts and looking for a gap up open because of the strong close, the volume, and the momentum. So we're looking at resistance after 679 of 7 psychological and then 733. And I'm very curious because the shift that's been going on between Canadian and USMJ the last 2 days is a more notable shift that's taken place in as long as I can remember. And again, this is from watching every single day for months, and they're often very correlated, but things are shifting. I view it as a snow globe that's been shaken up now, and we're just watching where the flake's going to settle because there's a lot going on the last 2 days with where the dollar volume's going, and Canadian MJ wins today. There's no doubt about that with how USMJ ended the day. So curious to see, can Canadian MJ keep this bull move going tomorrow, breaking highs of today, while USMJ is still way under highs of yesterday? And bears are going to be looking for USMJ entries. Even if we open tomorrow and bulls put a stop to the bleeding and we bounce, bears are going to be looking for hourly lower highs for entries on USMJ names after today's end of day dump. So CGC, again, it's going to participate with the sector. It's just coming from a weaker standpoint. So I look at this. How are shorts faring in CGC? Well, anybody that's been short CGC in the last 3 months is very, very comfortable still. And if we were similar to where KRON is, we'd be over $18 right now as far as putting 3 months worth of shorts underwater. Right now we're in a daily downtrend still. If we do not break 1365, it's just a daily lower high. So again, I want to open up your mindset to hedging. If I am long, let's say I'm real long KRON and I want to keep holding this move, I am scouting actively a bearish entry in CGC so that when KRON consolidates, if the sector consolidates with it, I can be making gains on a short while I'm giving back some of the profit on that consolidation. So again, if you are a swing traded mindset individual, I would highly suggest researching about hedging, getting comfortable hedging. There's many different ways to do it through options and through, if I'm USMJ, I can look to short Canadian MJ or vice versa. But again, having a one-directional mindset for a sector is not ideal. And I know there's a bunch of fundamental investors cringing when I say that, but I trade this sector long way more than short. My edge as a trader is oversold bounces. So I love flushes and V-shaped bounces. That's an edge that I've been working on for a long time, and it goes really well. But I will short this sector if the opportunity presents itself. And again, having that flexibility of being able to make money in any market environment is extremely empowering. So I highly suggest trying to work towards that to a certain degree. TLRY, big time bull break over the weekend. We highlighted the daily tightening range and how clear and nice it was. Held support, bull break of both 1128 and 1216 and 1240. So again, I look back and say, okay, well, anybody that's been short in the last 2 months is now underwater. Next resistance level from here, I'm looking at 1296. And we're just watching the hourly uptrend. We did not see hourly consolidation in most Canadian MJ names today, which tells me to expect it tomorrow. And I keep looking over at my other screen here because I'm watching what's going on after hours, because CGC is down a bit after hours, TLRY is fairly flat, and KRON is up. So we're seeing a bit of a shift there. CGC is getting some hourly consolidation going now. And there's tons of space for an hourly higher low to form. But again, if we see KRON gap up open tomorrow, I'm going to be selling that gap up open, and then we're watching for hourly consolidation to be a result of it. ACB earnings are tomorrow. Bull break is short-term resistance, but we have to break 788, which will likely be dependent on earnings for a weekly trend change attempt, which would be the higher low and then higher high if the bulls can get over that level. As far as the psychedelic space, profit taking today, in my opinion, a lot of it had to do with the grass being greener, pun intended, with the cannabis space seeing so many gains. And you know, if I'm in CMPS and I've seen nothing but green for 3 weeks and I'm up 30%, I'm locking in profit and I'm going to the beat up sector that's having a big shift. So daily consolidation underway. We're watching for hourly oversold conditions, which we just hit into the end of the day. And there will be an entry opportunity. Looking for a daily higher low here, but sector cooling off a bit. ATAI daily consolidation underway. Anything above 1350 is a daily higher low. We got a double top at 1790 resistance to be watching, and MNMD gap up into daily consolidation. Lots of space for daily higher lows in the psychedelic sector. And again, there's been no entry for bulls looking for daily consolidation for weeks. So curious to see how aggressive bulls buy this dip. So where we stand in summary, bulls in USMJ, very disappointing end of the day. And again, it didn't take a lot of volume at all to just completely control how that day shaped up and how those daily candles shaped up and where our momentum is headed into tomorrow. And on MSOS, if we open tomorrow and see a bit of a bounce, there's going to be bears that are attempting to top fish 3139, 3158 resistance. And by top fish, what I mean is if we see a bull start to the morning, I short it at 31, I just stick my stop right over those resistances and I have a small amount of risk where if I'm wrong, I'll lose 2% to the upside. And if I'm right and we start daily consolidation, I have the potential for multiple times the amount of risk that I'm making. So if the lows of today on USMJ hold tomorrow, that's a win for the bulls. Absolutely. If they break, daily consolidation underway, and we watch retracement size to help us gauge what's the most likely scenario from here. Canadian MJ trying to break the highs of today, first thing tomorrow. I am still in KRON. I was planning on being real aggressive. I was in TLRY, KRON, MSOS, GTBIF, TCNNF, and I trimmed TLRY, MSOS because of the last half hour. So I will be selling KRON on a gap up open. Maybe I'll sell half and give the bulls a little bit of a chance for some continuation. But again, just lock in the profit mindset constantly for me. And if the bulls can break the highs of today tomorrow, we'll be watching the hourly uptrend as our guide on Canadian MJ, knowing that we will eventually have to see daily consolidation in Canadian MJ as well. You know, KRON doesn't have a daily uptrend. So whenever this move tops out, if it's not going to be the same kind of short squeeze that ACB has seen many times, where we rip for a few days and then fade for a month, we must confirm daily trend changes. That's the moral of the story for everybody. But as far as short-term action, USMJ going to be testing the lows while Canadian MJ tries to test the highs. And constantly watching the shifts between those two sides of the borders now, because it's gotten a lot more interesting the last 2 days with how those names are relating to each other. So congrats to the bulls on the gains. I know a lot of you had big days out there. Definitely sour for how USMJ ended, myself included. You know, my account, when I was looking to swing strong into the end of the day, was definitely up a lot more than after I exited some of those positions into that weakness. But overall, a good start to the week. Can't complain. All we want is this volatility and opportunity. Crypto is still extremely strong. Uranium stocks are strong. The metals are starting to heat up. There is a lot of opportunity in these markets, but always cautious of euphoria. Apparently I didn't sell TLRY. It must have only partially filled after hours. Glad I saw that. Mostly filled. 90% filled. All right. Have a good rest of your day. Do good things. We'll check back in soon. And again, not going to be every day, but when there are things notable. All right.